Hi everyone, Scott here. How you all doing? It's days away from the end of the year, and I thought I'd do a little wrap-up video. I've been making guest appearances on Jim Kisreel's channel for a while now, but not doing so much on my own channel. A little bit here and there. I thought I'd do a little sort of summary on the kinds of things that I've seen this year, and maybe a few things that I'm planning on seeing. As far as just like general life stuff, still working at the same place that I was a year ago, and have been, actually I've been working there for like 6 years now, so that's been very fortunate. That I know a lot of people are out of work, but I'm not, so I'm very lucky about that. And still living in the same place, which is a nice place. And really the big thing that's changed for me is just not being able to get together with people, not being able to meet up with people like so many others, you know, just out of caution. And of course, the movie theaters have been closed for quite a while. They closed in mid-March, and then they opened again around mid-August here in Illinois. But now they're closed down again. This was mid-November that they closed. And they're still closed, and the closest theater to me right now that's actually open is Kenosha, Wisconsin. And I'm, you know, sometimes I'm really tempted to like rent a car and drive up there just to see a film, but it's not a good idea. I mean, I was very tempted to go see Tenet this summer. Sorry, no, it opened actually in September or October, I think, instead of summer. And I managed to not do that just because it's not safe. No matter how empty the theater is, it's best to just stay home and avoid people, unfortunately. So as far as my own channel goes, there are a couple series that I started but never really finished. I was doing one on the MCU directors, and I was planning on doing reviews next of October Sky, which is directed by Joe Johnston, sorry, who did the first Captain America movie. And both Kenneth Branagh, who directed the first Thor movie, and Joss Whedon both did films based on the Shakespeare play Much Ado About Nothing, and I thought I'd do a double feature on that. But, you know, for whatever reason, I just kind of lost interest in it. I don't post videos nearly as much on my YouTube channel as I did, say, you know, around 2010, 2011, 2012. I was really sort of burning rubber. I did like 4 or 5 director series, maybe 6 director series in 1 year in 2012. You know, some of those director series I could continue on. There's at least 2 Christopher Nolan movies that I have seen that I haven't reviewed. I never really did a proper review of Gone Girl, or, you know, and Mank just came out, so that's Fincher. And then there's more stuff from Robert Zemeckis to talk about, you know, and stuff like that. So that's something that I could pick up. But what has really been interesting to me over the past year on YouTube is the increase in reaction videos. Normally, up until this point, reaction videos have been mostly relegated to just movie trailers, new movie trailers, people reacting to that, maybe music videos, maybe just funny TikTok stuff, what have you. But now people are spending more time at home, and so they're during their quarantine, they're reacting to movies, whole feature films that they haven't seen, and some TV series as well. There's a few people that I watch regularly. I'm sure, you know, they're probably amongst the most popular reactors as far as feature films goes. People like Holden Hardman, Natalie Gold, Brandon Likes Movies. These are guys that I visit their channels regularly to see what they and their friends are watching. It largely consists of franchises and stuff from the 80s and 90s that's very popular and has been widely admired for a long time, and they just never got around to it. So they're watching it for the first time and going, wow, holy crap, this is great. Now, as much as I enjoy these videos, I would not really be interested in doing one of them myself, because I'd be self-conscious about being recorded on camera while I'm watching a movie and trying to be involved in that. When a person reacts to a movie in these videos, they talk throughout the whole thing and comment on it and make predictions about what might happen, and that's just not something that I'm all that interested in doing, as much as I enjoy them. However, there are some films that are important culturally in cinema that I haven't gotten around to, like they, in a similar situation. So I thought it might be better if I simply did a series on films that have come out, have been out, and been available to see for a long time, that I never really got around to seeing. So I was thinking to myself, what should I focus on? There's a lot to choose from. Maybe a director. I should start with a director who's very, very widely admired and whose films are very influential and popular and highly regarded that I haven't really, and there's a few to choose from. And then I realized that probably the key figure there would be Alfred Hitchcock. I've seen a few of his movies, of course, but it's been a long time since I've seen many of them. Just this last year, I watched The Birds for the first time. And prior to that, I think the last movie I watched was Rope repeatedly. I really enjoy Rope a lot. But as far as movies like Vertigo, Rear Window, North by Northwest, Psycho, these are films that I've seen a long time ago and haven't seen recently. And there's plenty of other classic Hitchcock suspense films that I haven't seen at all. So I made myself a list. I looked up his filmography and I made a list of about 30 of his movies that I'm either watching for the first time or rewatching. And if I do 2 a week, that's like 15 weeks of content right there. Two Hitchcock movies a week, taken basically in chronological order. I think that might be interesting. I'm interested in seeing some of those films and looking back and seeing older films. I've done a series basically that did that covered a lot of old stuff. My action movie series that I did back in 2017 started out with the late 60s, and so there were a number of films that I hadn't seen there. Going up through the present. These are all older films. I think Hitchcock's last film was in like the early 80s. I can't be sure about that. Anyway, so that's something I'm considering doing. And I think that, given the availability of streaming services, and also if I'm able to actually get the discs from my local library, which has a really good film selection, I should be able to watch all those films. Hopefully, anyways. We'll see about that. Aside from that, I don't have any other plans as far as videos go, but I thought I might as well talk a little bit about some of the films that I've gotten caught up with this year. A lot of new ones, of course, some of which I saw in the theater. Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Frozen 2, Richard Jewell, Hustlers, The Lighthouse, The Report, Birds of Prey, the documentary Linda Ronstadt, The Sound of My Voice, that's very, very good. Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Seberg with Kristen Stewart as Jean Seberg, the actress. The Invisible Man with Elizabeth Moss, of course. The Gentleman, the Guy Ritchie film. Now, I thought that The Banker was the last film that I got to see in a theater. That's a movie with Anthony Mackie and Samuel L. Jackson. It's from the director of The Adjustment Bureau, George Nolfi. However, in checking my notes, I realized that wasn't the last film I saw in the theater. The last film I saw in the theater earlier this year was actually Bad Boys for Life. I'm not sure why I went to see that movie. I really didn't like either the previous Bad Boy movies that much. I figured it had to be better than Michael Bay's movies. It had to be better than that, but it wasn't that much better. So I kind of regret missing out on something else that I could have seen that I would have liked more. Since that time at home, I've seen Sonic the Hedgehog, The Swamp, the documentary about Congress, Trolls World Tour, Light of My Life, which is a film that Casey Affleck starred and directed in. That's been one of the best movies I've seen this year. And of course, just recently, HBO Max had Wonder Woman 1984 on it. It's a little weird that if you watch the movie, they don't actually show the title as Wonder Woman 1984. All you see, basically, at both the beginning and end of the movie is WW84. Why they chose to do that, I don't know. I'm really trying to look to the film to see how the title should be spelled and presented, and it's just difficult for me to just call it WW84, whatever. Some movies, some older movies that I got caught up with on streaming or on some other home viewing. I'd been waiting a number of years to see a film called My Days of Mercy. Elliot Page, formerly known as Ellen Page, shot a movie many years ago with Kate Mara. And it hasn't been on disc at all, never made it to theaters here. And it was on the Starz Premium Movie Network, which I didn't have. However, there was a free weekend on the weekend of my birthday, so I got to see it then. So that was cool. Older films, much older films, include The Black Hole, the Disney film, Rendezvous in Paris, a French film, Predators, which is one of the one of the films in the Predator franchise with Adrian Brody. This particular one, Adrian Brody's the main character. Robert Rodriguez produced it but didn't direct it. It was directed by Nimrod Antal. And was much better than The Predator, which Shane Black did a couple of years ago. The John Hughes comedy, Some Kind of Wonderful, at least it was produced by him with Eric Stoltz and Leah Thompson. The Maze Runner. I'd seen the second and third Maze Runner movies, but not the first one, and that's largely down to Rose Salazar. I saw her in the preview. I was just like, wow, she's very striking looking. So I finally got around to seeing the first Maze Runner movie, and given what I understand about the plot, what happens in the first Maze Runner movie, given the overall storyline, really doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't really understand it all that well. Fun movies, but kind of nonsensical. The documentary Raiders, the story of the greatest fan film ever made. The Birds, as I previously mentioned. Batman, Mask of the Phantasm, the animated film that many consider the best Batman movie ever made. Finally got around to seeing that. A movie that I'd waited like 35 years to see called Sky Bandits, which came out originally in '86. But it never made it to my theaters, and I never saw it on VHS or disc or anything like that. And finally, I got to see it on Amazon Prime this year. It was fun. Pretty silly, fun. I'm glad I got to see it finally. Another '80s cult movie, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. The Disney animated movie Tangled, finally saw that. Another animated movie, The Emperor's New Groove, finally got around to seeing that one. At the urging of Jim Gizriel, I saw both Rocky IV and the original Rocky, which I'd never seen. I'd seen Rocky III, I'd seen Rocky Balboa and Creed, but I hadn't seen the original Rocky or Rocky IV, so I knocked those two off. Also, The Never-Ending Story, which is a classic '80s fantasy, kid-oriented fantasy movie, and the Pixar movie Coco, which is quite excellent, an excellent film. And as far as streaming exclusive films, Have a Good Trip, the fun documentary about celebrities talking about their experiences on psychedelics. The Old Guard with Charlize Theron. The Meyerowitz Stories, which is a Noah Baumbach film with Adam Sandler and Ben Stiller. Spike Lee's film The Five Bloods. Enola Holmes, starring Eleven. The Devil All the Time, which is a Netflix thriller with Tom Holland and a pretty big cast. The Boys in the Band. I was really excited to see that one, the new version. I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Charlie Kaufman. Palm Springs with Andy Seberg, I think. Andy Samberg, right? And Christine Milioti. That was lots of fun. Groundhog Day type of film. Happiest Season with Kristen Stewart and Mackenzie Davis. Directed by Clea Duvall. That just came out very recently. Finally, when I finally signed up for HBO Max, I was able to see Robert Zemeckis' latest film, The Witches, which was okay, not great. Had its moments, but ultimately not one of Zemeckis' better films. And most recently, of course, Mank, David Fincher's film about the screenwriter of Citizen Kane. It actually played before the theater shut down, right before the theater shut down. It played at one screen in Chicago, but I wasn't able to go and see it even if I wanted to, even if I was willing to go and risk it. So I ended up just seeing it on Netflix. Couple of films. And Ali. I finally got around to seeing Ali, the Michael Mann film with Will Smith about Muhammad Ali. It came out in 2001. It's almost 20 years old, and I just now got around to finishing it earlier today, actually. So a couple movies that I'm looking forward to seeing in the very near future. Let Them All Talk, which is Steven Soderbergh's new film. It has Meryl Streep and Diane Wiest and Candice Bergen in it. The Midnight Sky, George Clooney's new film, both acting and directing in it. Robert Rodriguez's new family adventure movie, We Can Be Heroes, that's streaming. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom with Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman. And of course, eventually, Tenet will be affordable. Right now, you can either buy the Blu-ray or buy the digital version for, a princely sum. And since I haven't seen it yet, I don't really want to shell out for it. I was surprised, actually, Jim Gizriel gave it a very positive review, or at least more positive than I thought it would be. And also one of my favorite professional film critics gave it a positive review as well, where a lot of people just went, I don't know. So there's points in its favor, but I'm not ready to, buy the Blu-ray or some other, really expensive version of it. I'd rather just pay like maybe $12 at most for a viewing of it. I'm excited to see it, but I'm just a little bit a little bit wary to spend too much on it, especially if I'm going to have a copy of it forever. I suppose I could just give it away if I didn't like it. I don't know. There's plenty of films, streaming, that'll be gone from the various streaming services that I subscribe to at the end of the month. So maybe I'll knock a couple of those off in the next few days. But there's one other thing that I wanted to show you that I found pretty exciting. And it doesn't have anything to do with watching films so much. Earlier this year, I came across an artist by the name of Jeff Victor. And he does what he calls evolutions. His specialty basically is to create artwork that's a version of a popular culture character or famous actor in a sort of a comic book, not really comic book, but more like a Sunday comic strip style, kind of like Charles M. Schulz, who did Peanuts, kind of in that style. An evolution, as he calls it, basically charts the change in a character over the course of a single movie or over a series of movies. Or it could be devoted to an actor and showing the different key roles in his career, or her career, as the case may be. And when I learned that he was offering commissions where you could pay a fee to have, the actor or character of your choice depicted in one of these evolutions, as he calls them, I thought, who should I pick? If I were willing to get one of these, who should I pick? And I think those of you who've known me for a while probably already know who I eventually picked for my own special commission. Here we have Election, and 15 years later, Wild. Two of the best films that she's been in, and two of her very best performances. My girl Reese, of course. Got this a few weeks ago, and then I got it framed. It'll be hanging it up somewhere. Sorry about the reflection. There we go. Yeah. Even got the red shoelaces in her hiking boots, which is pretty cool. Basically, he just said, you can, pay by credit card and then send some reference photos and a description of what you want. So I'm like, oh, two of her favorite movies right there. So that's pretty great. I really like that. So that's all I've got for you for now. I hope you enjoyed this. I'd like to suggest another channel that you may not be aware of. A friend of mine named Justin posts pretty regularly, a lot more frequently than I do. He does his own little Blu-ray updates and ranked the DC films recently, and he posts pretty regularly. He's a sweet guy. So I'll leave the link to his channel below in the description if you'd like to check him out. Of course, I'm always interested in what Jim has to say about stuff. Looking forward to, I don't know if he's done Wonder Woman yet. Probably not, I don't think so. A couple people reviewed Wonder Woman, but I haven't seen his video yet, so I'm looking forward to that. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I'll see you again soon, and when I get around to starting that Hitchcock series, if that's what I decide to do, of course, I'll update you with, how that's going to work exactly and when. Later.